Hey, what's good, good people? I am Travail, C.W. Lynch, Mr. What, and your self-worth specialist. I want to welcome you guys once again into the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place where possibilities become perspective. Guys, before we get into anything else, let me pause for the cause, the real cause, the true cause. And that's you. You are the reason I do what I do. So listen, guys, I want you to know from the depth of my heart, man, on some real talk, your presence is the greatest present that anyone could ever give me. By you showing up, by you listening or watching, or perhaps even both, you are already giving me the greatest gift that you could possibly give me, guys. I just really want to represent and be a place, an environment, right, an experience unlike any other. And I know that we live in a world where it's always, what have you done for me lately? Right? Janet messed us up with that one, right? What have you done for me lately? Well, your presence. Around here, we believe that your very existence is the evidence that you are enough. And so, before we get into any teaching, preaching, sharing, I just want to remind you of just how much I appreciate you, the individual, and just how much you inspire me, and just how grateful I am to share in this moment with you, and to continue to share week after week all of the things that I believe God is sharing with me to then share with you. So, guys, let's get into this. This week, we're going to be dealing with three things, but specifically, just this idea that there are three things that you may live without. You may have to live without forever unless you make God your source. That's our title for this week, guys. Three things you may live without forever unless God becomes your source. A little background on this topic. I won't call names. I won't give a lot of details, but I'll just say that over the last couple of weeks, actually the last couple of months, I have been made aware of people's struggle in three areas of life. Okay. Number one, people are struggling with confidence. Number two, people are struggling with contentment. And number three, people are struggling with connection, right? So let me kind of take them each one by one, and then we'll jump right into this content. Number one, and you may be someone like this, right? You're struggling with, you're struggling with confidence in yourself, confidence in your ability, confidence in just a person that you are, right? You're struggling to like yourself, to love yourself. You're struggling to really accept yourself without judgment and without criticism. You're struggling to walk right with your head up, so to speak. You're struggling to walk into that interview thinking that you're going to get the job, thinking that you're worthy of the job, thinking that you're worthy of having a better life. So you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself, a lot of confidence in your place in life. And so you're lacking confidence. The second one, guys, is this area of contentment. You lack this sense of being satisfied. Like, have you ever sat down for a meal and maybe it was like a 3-course meal, right? You had some salad, and then after the salad, maybe you had some soup, and then you had the main course, and then they brought you dessert, right? And by the end of that meal, I mean, you were unbuttoning your pants, and you listen, you are satisfied, you are full, right? Well, some of you out there, you're struggling with the sense of fullness in life. Somehow, some way, you're a little empty. You feel like, I don't really know my purpose. Why am I here? What am I doing? Am I just buying time? I know I've been there before. I've been there with the confidence as well, right? You guys have heard my story of being, 20 years old and having a gun put to my head and being willing to die for $120 bag of weed. I mean, guys, I had no confidence in myself. I had no confidence that I was worth anything, right? I had no contentment in life, right? I had thoughts of suicide so many times. I didn't think that my life was worthy of anything, right? Even I shared, I think either last week or the week before that, I was sharing that at one point in time, I was literally telling everybody I knew, right? Anybody who would listen, all I want to do is smoke weed and make beats, right? It was like I had summarized my life to doing nothing but sitting in the basement, right? At a soundboard, smoking weed all day, right? So I know what it means to not be content, to not be satisfied with where I am in life, and to be ready to literally throw in the towel. And then the last one, connections, right? This lack of deep, loving, sincere, enjoyable friendships, connections, harmonious connections with other people, family members, with God, with yourself. You just lack this sense of connection. You're just kind of feeling like you're drifting in life, or you're not really anchored down in life, like you're not really solid, right? Like you're footing, right? Like, listen, I'm from the Midwest. I was talking to my father last night on the phone. He's from the Chi. I'm from the Chi. And so we were talking. Now, we weren't talking about this topic, but it just reminds me of, being born in Chicago, and how, we get some serious winters in Chicago. And you get that ice. I don't know if you are in the Midwest, if you're listening in from the Midwest, but you know anything about that ice, man. You know anything about walking on ice, right? You don't feel safe. You don't have footing, right? And you don't have like a strong grip, a sense of safety, right? It's just not there. And some of you out there where, when it comes to this area of contentment, I'm sorry, not contentment, but this area of connection, you don't feel like you have any safe haven, a safe refuge in any relationship. You're looking at everyone side eye, right? It's like, who can you really turn to? Who can you really confide in? Who can you really call your friend? Who can you really, go to bat for and believe are really going to bat for you? Guys, I've been there. I don't know if I've told these stories or not, but there was a time where I robbed my own, close friend, right? I was looking him in the face every day, but I had literally robbed my own friend. I mean, I was at that point in my life where it was the people that I was looking in their faces every day, talking to them, having conversations, eating dinner with them. I would then go behind their backs and take from them. See, guys, I want you to remember that nothing on this platform, nothing on this program will I ever share with you, will I ever, charge you to do, try to empower you to do, try to encourage you to do, that I haven't done myself. I'm not going to ever speak from a place of theory and what I think, and perhaps. It's going to always come from a very sincere place, a place where, I've been there and I've done that, and I've grown and I've learned some things. And now I'm coming back. I'm reaching back to say, if you're still in that place, well, I may not have the answer, but I'll offer what I've done. I'll offer what I've learned. I'll offer my experiences, and I'll offer my emotions and the way that it made me feel, so that we can connect and so that we can understand that we're never in it alone. You're never by yourself. So if you're struggling with any of these things, whether it's confidence, whether it's contentment, or whether it's connections, right? Then today's experience is for you. These are those three things that we're talking about here with our title today. Those are those three things that you may live without forever unless God becomes your source. See, along with me coming into the knowledge that people are struggling with these three areas, I've also come into the knowledge that many people aren't turning for God as their answer. Many people aren't going to God as their source. It's like, I've got this problem, but God is not going to be my solution. I've got this question, but God is not going to be my answer. Now, you may not be thinking that consciously. You may not be consciously making that decision. I'm not going to go to God. He's not going to be my answer. He's not going to be my solution. You may not be thinking that literally. It may not be conscious, but it may be a subconscious. It may be an unconscious. It may be a habitual state in which you are seeking either yourself, other people, other things, programs, right? Education. You may be going about it on your own, trying to do things or achieve things or accomplish things that you believe are going to bring you these things. And I'm here to tell you today, and I'm going to break it down in just a moment. I'm here to tell you today that those three things, confidence, contentment, connection in this world, chances are you may have to live your entire life without those things. Now, you may want those things, but you may have to live your entire life without those things unless God becomes your source. Until he becomes your source, you may never have those things. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be real with you. Again, from my perspective, my lenses, my experience, I didn't have any of those things. I personally, Travell, I did not have confidence in myself until I got it from God. I did not have contentment, a sense of satisfaction in what I was doing until I was doing it with and for God, until God showed it to me. And I'll be sharing with you at the end of today's episode / experience. I'm going to be sharing with you exactly where I started and what you can do even today to get yourself started in the right direction. And then thirdly, I didn't have real meaningful connections. Remember, I was robbing my own friends. I didn't trust anybody, and I didn't have anyone in my life that really trusted me. So guys, I'm here to testify, but I'm here to also guide and lead you in a very systematic, a very, what's the word that I'm looking for? A very intentional way. So let's jump into this week's content, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, then you are seeing my screen. If you're listening, then just trust that it's on the screen. All right. So I've kind of already laid the groundwork, right, for these three areas, right? Confidence, contentment, connection. And we already kind of laid the groundwork that, many people lack these things or lack a sense of these things. They want these things. But the truth is, you might have to go through your entire life without these things until you go to God. And I'm going to show you how to go to God, because that I don't want to be so esoteric and so spiritual that is not practical. I never want to be so spiritual that is not just practical. So I'm going to literally be showing you how to go to God, literally how to go to God in a whole new way when it comes to developing these things and getting these things back in your life. So number one, confidence, a sense of approval or validation, AKA the feeling of, hey, good job, right? Have you ever had someone tell you, hey, man, good job? They pat you on the back, give you a high five. Some of us are living our lives, no matter how old we are. You've never had a sense of confidence. You've never walked out of your front door thinking that you were going to win. You've never walked out of your front door thinking that you were that you were about to take over your day. You always walk with your head down. You always take the blows of life, the hits of life. You always react and respond to what comes at you. You're never intentional because you don't believe that you could actually, get anything started or get anything going. You lack confidence, right? Now, I won't get into all the ways confidence is cultivated and created. because that'll take up the whole show. I could do a whole show on all three of these topics. And I just might. I don't know. I might, as the Lord leads. But literally, it would take me an entire show to just break down confidence. So I'm not going to do that. But confidence is a sense of approval or validation. And I want to validate you right now. Guys, if you didn't have the proper tools and structure in your life for confidence, for contentment, for connection, I want you to ease up on yourself. I want you to take a load off. I want you to, don't trip on yourself so much. You didn't have the tools, man. You didn't have what you needed. You weren't supposed to be confident. You weren't taught how to be confident. You weren't supposed to be content. No one taught you how to be. You weren't supposed to have meaningful, rich connections with other people. It wasn't modeled around you. You weren't shown how to do that. So I want to validate you. I want to make sure that you understand that I, number one, empathize with you. And number two, I get it. Until I was taught how these things worked and how to go about getting these things, I didn't have them either. Okay? So please, please, please lighten up on yourself. Okay? Don't go so hard on yourself. All right? All right, confidence, guys. I want you to take a moment and I want you to imagine life without it. You know what that feels like. You know what that looks like. What is life without confidence? Right? When you go for that thing, when you try to achieve that thing, when you try to believe God for that thing, when you attempt that thing, you fill in the blanks. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Now I want you to imagine life with it. You paint a picture in your own mind. What does life look like with confidence? How would I hold my head? How would I talk? How would I walk? How would I dress? What would I do? Where would I go if I had the confidence that I want? Imagine it. Now, here's the reason that I want to continue to point you back to God. We started off by saying people lack these things, they want these things, but they haven't decided that God is the source of these things. Genesis chapter 1. I'm going to read it. I'm not going to show it on the screen, but I'm going to just read it. I'm just reading from my phone here. All right. So I got my old trusty dusty, phone right here, and I'm literally just reading from my Bible app. This is after God had made everything. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 31. God saw everything he had made. This includes you. God saw everything that he had made, and behold, right? Observe. It was very good, and he validated it completely. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. I want you to understand, guys, that confidence began with God. Now, we're going to get into just a moment. In just a moment, we're going to get into how we lost it. But understand, confidence originated with God. Remember, you are a created thing. Your creator established confidence within you. He gave you the confidence. Confidence comes from God. If you want the type of confidence that you envision, if you really want to have it, you really want to live it and taste it and breathe it, if you want that image, that picture that you just had in your mind, if you want that to really become your reality, then it begins with God being the source of that confidence. It's not going to be in your achievements. It's not going to be in your accomplishments. It's not going to be in your new job. It's not going to be in your new car. It's not going to be in your new house. It's not going to be in your wife and 4 kids and yada, yada, yada. Where your confidence is going to be established, it's going to be established in and through God. Number 2. All right, let's break it down. Let's break it down. Contentment. A sense of service, purpose, a sense of meaning. What am I doing with my life? right? Contentment. Being content with my lot, being content with what I do, having a function in this world, being of use, being of value, right? A part of feeling and seeing our worth, a part of feeling, like you have self-value is, being used for something. You see yourself as a problem solver. You see yourself woven into the fabric of life. You see yourself as a part of a functioning system or operation where, listen, you're vital to the success of this operation, right? A lot of us are just going from job to job and from thing to thing, and we just can't find our thing. So we're not content, we're not satisfied because we just haven't tapped into what we're used, we're not tapped into what we are meant to be used for. Okay. So again, I want you to imagine life without it. What does your life look like right now? If you're not content, how does that feel? If you're not content, what does your mornings look like? What does your nights look like? How does it feel on that job that you don't really want to be at? How does it feel serving in that ministry that you're really not equipped for, and you really don't take a lot of pleasure in doing it? See, I'm talking about this thing of being plugged into something that's bringing forth a sense of satisfaction in your life. You're contributing to something. Remember, you are a contribution of God's. So that means that there is a specific area in life where you operate best. You can be a jack of all trades, but there is something that He has created you to be a master of. And your contentment is found in that. Now, there's different ways to look at contentment. Again, I could do a whole program, a whole episode on contentment. But that's not the purpose of today's experience. Today's experience is to bring an awareness, right? That you're struggling with it. It's a wake-up moment. It's a awakening moment. And then it's saying, now, where are you trying to get contentment from? Where are you searching for it? Is it in your job? Is it in your car? Is it in your... How's that working out for you? Now I want you to imagine being content. Remember sitting at the restaurant, right? The analogy I gave earlier about sitting at the restaurant feeling full. Imagine your life feeling full, not lacking, not needing, not wanting, but waking up each day with gratitude, waking up each day with a thank you, God. You've given me so much, you've done so much attitude. Rather than waking up saying, what I need, I gotta, oh God bless, oh God, can you? What does that look like? To wake up fully satisfied, thanking God for the opportunity to give, to share, to bless other people, because you know that you have everything that you need. What does that look like? Paint a picture of that in your mind. Now, Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 helps us to understand where contentment comes from. It says, so God, the Lord God, took the man He had made, this was after God made man, and settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and to keep it. See, with these scriptures, I don't want to read the whole Bible to you. I just want to give you snippets. You go back, you read the whole thing, you read the whole context. But here it shows you that God, after He created us, planted us in a very specific position and gave us purpose, gave us work to do. Now, I was sharing with my wife some of these things earlier this week in prayer. You know, what came to mind for me is when you read this, and all we can do is go by what the Bible provides us. We can't read too much into it, right? There was no mention of work being stressful, painful, irritating, right? Some of the things that we describe work as, right? Getting on my last nerves. None of that was happening. That was not mentioned anywhere in the text until after we, fell or sinned, right? Then the work became hard. But God's original intent, you see, when you're doing it God's way, when God's your source, the work isn't stressful. You don't hate going to work. You don't hate punching the clock because you're doing what He created you to do. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? Your contentment is in God. It's never going to be in anything that you create. It's never going to be in anything that you come up with. It's going to come from your Creator. Contentment comes from the Creator. Last one, guys. Last one. Here we go. Just letting the slide go by. All right, here we go. Connection. A sense of happiness with one another, with God, with society. You can go on and say happiness or harmony, having peace, having those friendships. What does life look like without it? Are you alone? Are you isolated? Are you afraid? Are you depressed because you don't have those meaningful relationships in your life, right? Do you feel like you got to do everything yourself? Do you feel like you're in this thing called life all by yourself, and if you don't make it happen, then it won't happen? Excuse me, it won't happen. What does life look like without those meaningful connections? Do you ride the bus every day and watch other people shake hands and high five and love on each other? Are you out in the marketplace watching other people huddle up and walk around together holding hands and you feel left out? I've been there, man. I've done that. Now take a moment and imagine connection. Imagine life with it. Imagine your life having a ton of friends, people that love you, people that you love. You have a phone where you can go to your contacts and, just by seeing their names, you smile. Just this past week, guys, several dear brothers of mine, we just reached out for different reasons. And it was such a meaningful week in terms of just brothers reaching out and saying, hey man, this and that, or hey man, checking in on you, or hey man, how's it going? Or hey man, this just happened in my life. See guys, I never knew relationships. I never knew friendships. I never knew deep connection until I got with God. When I became a man of God and I began to live and walk for God and with God, and I began to love God and love other people and love myself, I became this magnet of men for men who had integrity, men who had character, men who had substance. See, this ain't just about, connections just ain't about having bodies around you, like an entourage or just leeches, right? Just people that are just around you. No, I'm talking about deep, meaningful connections. People that you want to be around and they want to be around you, right? What does that look like for you? What does that look like for you? What would you do if you had a best friend? What would you do if you had a spouse? What would you do if you had your homeboys or your homegirls? Where would you guys go? Imagine that. Take a moment and think about that. What would life look like if you had a phone that was full of contacts? And everyone that you would, call or text, you would be loving on them and they would be loving on you. You would have something good to say to them. They would have something good to say to you. No division, no gossiping, no backbiting, no, oh, I don't want to see that person. What would that look like, guys? Connection. Genesis 2:23. Check it out, guys. Check it out. Again, reading from my just reading from my phone, right? This is after God had decided that it wasn't good for man to be alone. See, connection is an idea of God's. See, I wasn't even prepared to even share that one, right? As we say, as us preachers say, that wasn't in my notes. See, that one literally just dawned on me. God said it's not good for man to be alone. Man didn't come up with that. So relationships, connections, unity, peace, harmony, connection, that's an idea of God's. So if it's your creator's idea, then that's his, that he wants it for you. So why not make him your source? Like he wants it for you. What better source can you have in life than someone who wants the same thing for you? Like what better source, right? You go to God, he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you. Yeah, I'll make it happen. In fact, I want it more than you do. Man, come on, guys. Make God your source. Get it from God. Because how's it working out for you? Them other sources, how's that working out? How's that working out? Getting friendships and relationships and connections on your own. The places that you're going for it. The people that you're connecting with. How's that working for you, right? So listen, Genesis chapter 2. So this is after God already said, hey, it's not good for man to be alone. I'm going to go ahead and make a woman from the rib of man. And so here's the text. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made and fashioned, formed a woman. He brought her and presented her to the man. So now he's presenting them, okay? Then Adam said, the man said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Now he already, listen, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Is there any greater connection? Can you get any closer to an individual, right, than being a bone of their bone, flesh of their flesh, right? That's where we get the term one flesh marriage. I mean, that's tighter than that's unity, baby. That's unity. And this is man declaring this after God had did what he did. So now he's saying, she shall be called woman because she was taken out of the man. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. The man and his wife were both naked, no covering, physically, and I believe spiritually, mentally as well, nothing to hide. So they were naked, they were bare before one another, and were not ashamed or embarrassed. Not ashamed, no shame. See, shame is seeing something that's wrong with me, right? A lot of people are dealing with shame. I'm gonna do teachings on shame as well, but shame is, listen, something's wrong with me. I'm not enough, I'm not complete. There's something messed up with me. There was none here. Guys, talk about connection. But how did that connection happen? It happened because God was involved. God thought of the connection. It's not good for man to be alone. It came from God. And then God did it. Man, go to sleep. Take a rib from him. Make this woman. Bring man and woman together. Let man decide what she is. Look at that amazing series of events that began with God. If you want connection, go get it from God. Come on, guys. This is what we're doing today. This is what we're talking about today. He's the source, man. He's got it for you. He's got it for you. I promise you. He did it in my life. He'll do it in your life. All right. Last thing that I want to point out from a biblical perspective is that really when it comes to all these things, right? Having confidence, being content, having connections, The only thing that really keeps us from those things are these things called confusion and conflict. You don't have confidence, you don't have, contentment, you don't have connection, then you probably have a sense of confusion or conflict. I'll even throw in chaos, right? It is a sense of shame, worthlessness, and isolation. Now on the screen, I've got it. Imagine life with it. But I mean, some of us are already living it, right? I want to encourage you to imagine life without it. Imagine life without confusion. Imagine your life without conflict. Imagine living your life without having all of this chaotic thinking and chaotic behavior and chaotic speech coming out of your mouth. You're not always backbiting at somebody. You're not always arguing with somebody. You're not always flipping somebody off. You're not always cutting somebody off, and they're not always cutting you off. Imagine life like that, where you weren't deep in conflict, constantly, where you weren't in a wilderness constantly, confused. Which way should I go? What should I do? Right? When you don't know the direction, you lack confidence because you don't know what direction to go in. Right? Guys, the list goes on and on and on. But if God is your source, then you can get all these things. If he's not your source, you may have to live without them forever. Forever. You may never get them. You may never realize them. You may never get a sense of them until God becomes your source. Genesis 3:5. Last one I'll read here, known as the fall of man. All right, guys, here it is. Just reading from the app again. This is the serpent, Satan, speaking to the woman. They're about to sin. They're about to fall. All I want to point out in this one is this very interesting statement that he made. So this is the exchange. They're going back and forth. Eat from that tree. They told him not to eat from that tree. Satan is saying, eat from that tree. The woman is saying, no, we can't eat from that tree. He said, no. For God knows that on the day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened. That is, you will have greater awareness and you will be like. Now it goes on to say, and you will be like God, knowing the difference between good and evil. You will be like. I just want to take that piece right there. You will be like. See, the you will be like created a sense of lack. It created a sense of, I don't have something. I'm without something. In fact, it created the sense that the very thing that I lack, that I'm without, God is withholding. That was the beginning of discord between God and man. Or should I say man, because it started with us, man and God. That was the root of conflict between man and woman or society. That was the root of conflict between man and himself. All three in one with one statement. You will be like, future tense. You don't have it today. You're not enough today. You need more. You're not worthy. You're empty. You're missing something. You're not complete. See how that works, guys? See how that works? He sowed that little seed and it took root. And from that came the chaos, came the calamities, came the confusions, came the conflicts that led to this idea that I lack confidence. And I ain't gonna go get it from God because he's holding back on me anyway. Contentment. You ain't never content. You ain't never satisfied with nothing, right? Well, I ain't gonna go to God because he holding it back from me anyway. And then connection. Well, I'm not gonna reconnect with God. He's holding everything back. Those are those internal dialogues that could be happening subconsciously because of this very thing. I lack it. I don't have it. And because I don't have it, just like the story goes, I'll go get it myself. I'll go do it myself. See, they ate of the fruit, whether it was an apple or not. What we do know is they touched it. They tried to do it on their own. They tried to go get what they needed or they thought they needed. They went and tried to get what they thought they wanted on their own. And that's the key. I'll do it. I'll get it. I'll do it. I'll get it. I'll do it. I'll get it. And God is sitting over here saying, yeah, but I'm your source. I created you. I know what you need. I know what you want. And I'm willing to give it to you. But so many times we'll say, no, nah, we good. We'll go our way. We'll try our methods. We'll try our gimmicks, our plans, our schemes, our strategies, our techniques, right? And we never get there. We never get there. We never get to the point where we're confident. We never get to the point where we're content. We never get to the point where we have the meaningful connections that we want to have in life. So what do we need to do, guys? What do we need to do? How do we fix this, right? How do we begin the process of fixing this? Well, here it is. Spiritual gift assessment. Is it the end all do all? Nope. Is it the last step? Nope. Is it the only piece to the puzzle that you need? Nope. But here's what it is. It's an amazing starting point. I've done it. I've seen the fruit of it. I'm here today because of it. You guys heard my story. 20 years ago, Pastor Eric Brown walks up to me, 5 words, changed my life. Travell, you are a teacher. Led me on a path of understanding what that meant. And on that path, I discovered something called spiritual gifts assessment. Now, there's other assessments that I'm going to share in other episodes, but today we're going to start with the spiritual one. There's ones for personalities. There's ones for strengths that you have. There's ones, for all types of things. You can really discover who you are. Like you can really discover how you operate, and it can be of great benefit. I'm a product of it. Okay. But I want you to start with the spiritual gifts assessment. Why? Because God is your source. Now, the other ones, right? They are definitely good tools to utilize, but they're really based upon, man's perspective and perceptions and the way that we operate within our society from a human, standpoint. But this here, the spiritual one, this is saying what God has given you, God's intent. If you're watching the screen, clarity about what your creator intended for you. This is where I want you to start, because I want God to be your source. I want to encourage you. I want to employ you. I want to push you in the direction of your creator, of God. Because up until this point, you've been going everywhere else, trying everything else, and none of it works. So here's what works. Spiritual gifts. What has God given you? Why is this important? When you know your gift, when you know what God has given you, then you know what God has intended for you. And when you know what God has intended for you, guess what? You begin to cultivate confidence. Because now you begin to see your contribution to this world. Guess what else happens when you see what God intended for you? You begin to make decisions that point you in the direction of the type of work that satisfies you. That's right. You find contentment. Yeah, you find contentment in yourself, because now you're not trying to do everything under the sun. You're not trying to follow trends. You're not trying to do the latest, greatest thing. You're just doing what you were intended to do, and it satisfies you. Lastly, I was going there. What else happens when you know what God intended for you? You begin to socialize with the right people. Birds of a feather flock together. Not only will you intentionally seek out those of like minds and like interests, but you are going to become a magnet. You're going to become a magnet because of your thinking, because of your speaking, because of your behavior. You're going to begin to attract quality people, people that will respect you, that will have character, that will have integrity. They'll know, right? The people who want to treat you bad, the people that want to act a fool on you, they'll recognize, they'll see, okay, well, I've got to go find somebody else because this person is walking in a different authority. They're walking in a different air. They're walking in a different, just a different embodiment of life, right? You are existing differently, and people pick up on that. People see that, right? You give off a whole different vibe. So the people that can't rock with you, they're gonna go ahead and miss you. The people that are attracted to that, then they're going to find you, right? So the connections are going to begin to happen because now you're operating in the gifts, you're operating in the intention of God. So you're going to go in new circles, new places. You're going to find new people that make sense to your life. See how that all works? See how it all comes together, right? Guys, God has to be your source. Otherwise, these three things, you may have to live forever without them. It's your choice, right? All right, let's make the right choice, guys. Right down here on the bottom of the screen, if you're looking, simple, very easy web address. And I love sharing resources that will help to build you up. This is a very simple one. Now, there are tons of spiritual gifts tests and assessments, and there's all types of resources that I'm going to be sharing over the next couple of weeks. But this one here, go to Spiritual Gift Test. I'm sorry, Spiritual Gifts Test. If you're not watching, if you're listening, Spiritual Gifts with an S, test.com. spiritualgiftstest.com. You go there and they have a free assessment. They have this site even has a personality test that you can take as well, but you want to go for the spiritual gifts test. Take that assessment. They usually run about 75 to 100 questions. So carve out maybe like 20 or 30 minutes. But they're very easy questions, right? Take the time, carve it out, get your results, and begin to really spend time praying for wisdom and understanding around what your results say. Really begin to take, like I took what Eric said, really take those results and look them up. Look them up in the Webster's dictionary. Look them up from a biblical perspective, right? We got all these tools. We got apps. We got Google. Begin to research. Begin to do the work of researching. What does this mean? Once you get your results, and they're going to give you a description of what the gift is and what that means in the use or in the context of the church normally. But this thing is applicable worldwide. I teach on my job. I teach here in my family, right? I teach at the gym, right? I was a personal trainer. I mean, guys, the gift is worldwide. It's applicable across the entire landscape of your life, right? Even if you don't go to church, you're still a creation of God. You'll still get a result, and it will still point you in the right direction. Again, guys, is this the do all, end all? No, absolutely not. I wouldn't lie to you and say, yeah, man, just get this and life is going to completely turn around. No, it still takes work. It still takes effort, but it is one more piece of your puzzle. It is something that maybe you've never done before. It is maybe going to be a aha moment. It may lead to that awakening. It may lead to that awareness that you lack about yourself. And that's going to get you going. Remember, that's all that it did for me, was it got me going. And then you add another piece, and then you take another step, and then you build from there. That makes sense? So this week, guys, take time to take that assessment, get your results. If you want to share them with me, I would love to know. And that leads us into our last slide and my last couple of moments here. Guys, all of this is about self-discovery. All of this. When you discover yourself and what you are, you can't help but include God, because he's a part of that narrative. You can't leave him out. You can't write the story of your life if you're really discovering yourself and leave God out. He has to be a part of the overall story, right? So all of this is leading back to my favorite topic, self-discovery, self-awareness, self-consciousness, okay? So guys, head over to iamthepossible.com, pick up your free masterclass, your free self-discovery masterclass, the What's My Worth masterclass. If you haven't done so already, head over to I Am the Possible and grab that. That masterclass includes multiple assessments, like the ones that I just talked about. Okay. Number 2, guys, prayer requests or questions, info@iamthepossible.com. Hit me up. Got any questions, any prayer requests, or like I just said, if you want to share your results from your assessment, if you have any questions, right? Let's say that you take the assessment, which you should take the assessment, you get your result, and you got questions about it. You're like, man, okay, this is exciting. This is something new. What is this? How do I, implement this? Where do I start? Hit me up. info@iamthepossible.com. I would love to hear your results. I would love to assist in pointing you in the right direction and some next steps. So let me know. All right. And if you have any prayer requests, again, I have a prayer list. I am a praying man. Prayer changes things. So if you want me to be, covering you in prayer each week, then hit me up, info@iamthepossible.com. Let me know what area of life you would like me to be praying for you in. Lastly, guys, your support. Support. We need your support. Now, this ain't just about supporting me so that my numbers can go up and so that I can have a large following and yada yada yada. Now, what this is it's about impacting on a greater level. Unless this gets out and unless this spreads, then it won't have the type of impact that God desires for it to have. We need numbers, right? We need more people to be aware of this information, because this information is about them. So the more you share, the more you subscribe, the more you tell other people, the more reviews you leave, the more eyes get on this content. And the more eyes get on this content, guess what? The more eyes get on them. So every new person that discovers this podcast discovers themselves. Think of it like that. For every new person that discovers this podcast, they're going to discover themselves. I decree and declare. Okay. So when I say support me, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe on Apple iPod, iTunes. When you subscribe, okay, that's helping my reach. You're investing in my reach. That's an investment in me and in the platform, but truly it's an investment in other people. It helps me to widen my territory and widen my scope. So yes, you're helping me. Absolutely. Why not? Help me out, right? I'm sharing with you, share with me, right? Absolutely. But the bigger picture is you're helping other people that you may never even come into contact with, people that need this word, that need this message, that unless you share it, unless you get involved, they may never get it. So please subscribe, share, and leave a review. And I would greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for this week, guys. I am going to be looking to see how God wants me to continue to build on these 3 topics. I don't know if I want to just drop one and then call it a day, right? Because there's so much that we can unpack with each one of these, guys. Because I know there's a lot of people that's dealing with, man, I don't have confidence. I need more confidence. So many people that are like, dude, I am not happy in my life, right? I'm just not feeling this thing called life right now, right? That's that contentment. and connections. People are like, yo, man, I'm lonely. Dude, like all I got is social media. All I got is my IG. All I got is and they're hiding behind the screen and they are crying out for connection. So I know that there is so much more that we can unpack with this. So I'm gonna be, prayed up and saying, God, how do you want me to chop it up? What else do you want me to do, with these three topics? So don't be surprised if next week we start really diving in more. And don't be surprised if we're on a whole new topic, right? Because again, guys, I move with the Spirit, however He leads me and guides me. But I am keeping my ear to the ground. I am looking out for what it is that people are dealing with and struggling with. But at the end of the day, I take all of that data, all of that information, take it back to Him because my confidence comes from Him. You feel me? You see that? My confidence in presenting content comes from God. My contentment in presenting content, yep, comes from God. Yes, yes, yes. And my connections with you, my connections with those that I'll never even know or see, my connections with those people who are in my future, right? All of that I believe and I entrust to God, my Creator, our Creator. All right, guys. It's been a little bit of a longer one, right? We've gone almost an entire hour on this one. I don't always intend to go like a full hour, but this one needed some unpacking, so we needed to unpack it. So pray that you guys enjoyed it. Pray that you guys got something from it, some information that you could take, apply to your life, and have some amazing results. All right, guys. Until next time, love you guys, praying for you guys, believing in you guys. This is Travail C.W. Lynch, Mr. What this has been another episode / experience of the iAMthepossible podcast experience, the place where possibilities become perspective. Peace.